Hello and welcome back to Pandemic Playground with Dave. We are back at it again with Never Surrender Ship Evolution, so let's get started. Alright, so last we left off with is building out this refinery ship, and everything's looking good. It's looking as basic as basic can get, unfortunately, but well, we're going to work on redesigning this whole thing. And of course, somebody have obviously pointed out my oxygen is not even connected because I put the oxygen tank right over there instead of my conveyors or conveyor junctions that I was supposed to have there. So we need to fix that somehow. And I really don't want to get rid of the oxygen tank over there as well. But it looks like we might have to. There's not a lot of places where I can put that actually. So, maybe I can get away with flipping these O2 generators around. So maybe I'll deal with this instead. So maybe we flip it around kind of like that in some ways. I don't know. Well, it's a three port, 2 port should look decent. Now it's sticking out a little bit, so not something I prefer. So maybe we put this somewhere else. Somewhere else could be right over here. Yeah, I guess we could kind of do that. So let's just put one here. And the other one we can put on top, if anything. So that would be symmetrical to there in that case. Which we don't really need to be so symmetrical. It's just kind of wanting it to be a little bit more symmetrical. But of course, things going to change once I start designing it out with some armor blocks, basically. So we put one here. We're gonna have to put a conveyor junction there as well. So let's see, and we're good to go. Okay, so gotta be honest with you guys, and I was getting really annoyed of the inventory space, so I upped it a bit for the backpack at least. I didn't up anything else. It was just getting really annoying, to be honest, so I had to do something about it. Alright, so what's next? We definitely need to design this out a little bit better looking. So we're going to do that with a lot and lots of steel plates, basically, which is something we definitely need a lot of, which we're still producing a good number of stuff. So the front cockpit, not the best looking thing in the world, so we may go ahead and change that in a bit, but for now we can leave it as is. Or do we incorporate some kind of look to it instead? I don't know. It's kind of tricky, but we'll figure it out. So let's work on... Now, do I want to turn this into a drilling machine at the same time? So that we could drill, refine in that sense, and then let the ship do the assembly. I don't know. Alright, so let's just deal with that in a second. Let's just build this out. I think we could use... Let's use ramps. We don't really play around with ramps too much. And I think it's a good look. And I should probably utilize it a little bit more as well. Okay. So here's the ramps. I kind of want to curve this out over here. Like so. And probably another time right there. So we need another steel plate right there, or not steel plate, light armor block there, with a ramp here, and we're pretty much good to go from there. So that just gives it a basic look right there, nothing too crazy. And actually, kind of thinking, should I put the thrusters on first? Probably a good idea to do that. But anyways, this would be okay, except the door's right there, so we're gonna run into an issue eventually. Unless I do something like this, but then you have to climb into the door in a very weird way. So let's not do that. Okay, so let's get rid of this. Let's try something a little different. So if we put it that way, it's an interesting look. A little bit different from what I'm used to doing. So let's see what that kind of looks like, what things welded up. So, okay. I mean, it could kind of work, but not really at the same time. So let's just get rid of that. Let's leave it for now. We need to put out thrusters first, I think. And out thrusters, although I realized I do have uranium, forgot about that. We could power the ship with a reactor instead. And of course put in a whole bunch of ion thrusters as well. But I think it might be a little bit more beneficial if I just kept it as hydrogen thrusting here. So it just works a little bit better, I think. Hopefully. Okay, so we have one large thruster in the back. So we probably need a few up front. Ideally, I want to put it like right here, but that's going to look terrible as well. So I guess we could put it here. Let's see. Okay, so that's looking decent. All right, this is not actually working out right. Okay, so I'm starting to think I have to scrap this cockpit and actually put in a regular cockpit. And let's just see if we can just do that. What is the best one I can use to kind of stick onto this conveyor junction here? I think it's going to be the fighter cockpit. We can't do the fighter cockpit. That's only for small grid. So it looks like industrial cockpit is probably our best bet. But we can think about adding that and attaching it a little bit later. So let's get rid of our current cockpit system right now. It's not going to work out. It takes up too much space. It looks terrible. And the whole air situation makes it a little awkward as well, meaning this little air vent right here. So I think if we scrap this process out of it, it should look a little bit better. So let's get rid of all this stuff here. And we gotta be careful not to completely disconnect it. So okay, so I need to add another block here, just protect it. And get rid of this, and we're gonna put a large thruster right there. And that's gonna mimic that of the back. Alright, large hydrogen thruster is operational up front. And now we can think about putting the cockpit. So likely gonna add an industrial cockpit. The only problem is, where do we add it? Do we add it up here so we can easily connect to it from this little spot here? Or do we just put it down here and we'll connect it towards the top anyways? Or we use this cockpit, which we can just align it up here, here. That kind of works out as well. So, And another option is, instead of making it symmetrical right in the middle, we could put it over here on the right hand side if we really wanted to. We can see a decent amount, but we get blocked by the thruster right there to see the other side. But of course, we can put a camera on the side as well, so that should be okay. But it would really look odd. But it's definitely a good option or a fun thing to do. Right. So for now, we're just gonna add it right over. I'm gonna add it up here. That seems to be the better spot right this moment. And when I'm in it, I can see a decent amount, so this is not too bad. It's a slightly odd spot for it, but should be okay. And of course we can put a pipe here if we need to. So this is gonna help with our oxygen and everything else. So that's worth it. It's worth it doing that. It's not the best looking thing in the world, but I think it's okay. And this way also at the same time, we could add our left and right thrusters here. So we don't have to use the large ones, because we could put a lot of tinier ones around there. So we can do one here, we can do one here if we need to. Actually, you know what? I'm going to get rid of this one. I have some plans for that. So let's see. One there, which is going to be decent push. We can add a few here on the refinery. Gives us some additional push right there. And I think that's all we got. So we get 3 on each side. Is that enough? Probably not. So we add more down here, I think. So we can add one over here and one over here. So we have 5 on each side. Okay, so I could deal with 5 on each side. I think that's gonna work out okay. So let's just do that. We'll put one there. One there. We could put the one here and one here and the last one here. So we have 5. Perfect. Now, if we plan to make this a drilling thing at the same time, we have to put a piston right here, which is a little bit sketch because it's right there in front of the thruster. May or may not be the best placement, and I don't know if it's gonna even it should release it. I don't know if it's gonna get stuck a little bit. It might not, who knows at this very point. But if we put the drill, it'll be like that, so we can extend it and drill that way, or we just stick with 1. I think 2 would be better. So let's just weld these guys up really quick. Okay, so we have that going. Let's see. We'll reverse, well, shear tension first. We reverse this. All right, it works fine. It's not stuck. Shear tension and reverse this guy. And it'll be quite far in front where we can get a material. So that works out. That's not too bad. And in this cockpit, can't really see it. So that's not a good thing. So we might have to put a camera. And that's a decent stretch. Okay, so yeah, I can live with that. So we're just gonna have to put it on both sides now. Okay, so we're good on that front. And now it comes to the rest of the building. I want to put the cockpit closer to the front. Probably a good idea, but we're gonna leave it alone for now. Okay, so let's see. I do like the front here being like that, but I think we're gonna move this ramp. Instead, we're gonna utilize it up a little higher right over here. And we'll close this out here. And of course, we can add a little bit more design over here as well. So we can't get too close to this thing, so we're gonna deal with it like so. I think that should look okay. Okay, so alright, not too bad. It's coming together. Let's not use just steel plates. Let's try to mix things up. Let's use what those things called interior walls. Okay, so we can use the interior walls right here by the thrusters. And on the side pivot, it's looking decent. It's not too bad. I think we changed this actually. I'm gonna put a little bit more of a different look to it. So let's just deal with it with this thing. Should we do it this way? Just for fun? Sure. Why not? Why not? Okay, I kind of like that little bit of a crab arm kind of situation near the drills. So it kind of works out. We can even get crazier if we really wanted to, but we're gonna have to enlist the help of this one here, this light armor slope, and I think we flip it. Yeah, that's it. That's all we can do. We use this. That's not gonna look great. I don't think we need this, or do we need it? We could use it if we want to attach something to light. That could be helpful. But also it gets rid of the sharpness of that angle. So we'll just get rid of it for now. Alright, so let me just get some things welded up really quick and continue to make some changes here. Alright, so we are done building this refinery ship. So I went ahead and just created and welded up as quickly as possible. So you didn't have to hear me go, let's add this here, this here, this here, this here, this here, which makes no sense. So this is the final result of our refinery ship. So the design of it, I used a little bit different items such as ramps. I don't normally use ramps too much, but it looks nice with using ramps because it has a little bit of a light there. And interior walls as well. The scientific one, or sci-fi one, the sci-fi one. So I had some up there and over here on both sides equally. I was playing with different skins. So we have the retro future armors in yellow. We have some weldless armor as well. So there's a lot of different things here. I changed the cockpit. I said I was going to use a regular cockpit. And when I looked at it closely, it looked really, really odd. So I decided to go with the cockpit with windows with the helm right over there. So it is airtight, as you see there. So now, at least we got oxygen, decent wall and everything like that. And when we're on the helm, we can see pretty nicely on each side, which is perfect. So other than that, we did some designing with the beams to kind of connect it so that it looks like it is wrapped around it a little bit and secured. It's a slightly off for some reason, looks like. Never realized it would look like that. That's kind of interesting. But it must be... Oh, you know what? They're not attached to anything. They're just floating. So that's going to be a problem down the line. So let's get rid of that. And add it all back on. So yeah, so it wasn't attached because it was just floating on top of the refinery, I think. So if we plug in correctly, like so. There we go. That looks better. Nice and connected. So luckily we didn't fly away with the ship while that wasn't really welded on correctly. So yeah, the beams here is to look like it's supporting it. We have these retro futuristic yellow blocks here to kind of support it as well. It's really not supporting it much at all. I mean, the sensor's really doing everything anyways, just for design purposes. And at the end of each one, we added some tails just to add some extra design. And of course, we can add more here as well. Probably add more of the ramps, but we're going to go an opposite way here. So you can do it right onto this thing here, or do we do it right over here? I'm thinking right over here and right over here. So we just leave the space right in the middle all empty. Alright, so that's that. And if we really want to go a little bit more crazier, we can build out a, what's that called? Cylindrical? Let's see, the columns or pillars. We just throw something right over here as well to show some kind of connection. And we change it up by using some kind of cylindrical columns if we want to, which doesn't look too bad. Or we can use the interior pillars. Either one works fine. I'm gonna stick with the cylindrical column for this build right here, and that's just to kind of make it look like it's attached in some way. So we don't have to do it here or there. We just want to do it on the side. So that makes it, even that little bit of a ramp over there makes it look so different, and it just gave it more feel of it as well too. So yeah, so we have a little bit of these corner blocks. They're just all aesthetics, nothing too crazy. The front we already spoke about, which is our little claw with the drill system, and it's looking a little bit better. It could look a little more flatter. I think if I didn't have the thrusters there, I can add either more ramps or these type of blocks right over here, just so it looks like it's more secured onto it, which wouldn't look too great either. But like if we put some right here just for the sake of it, it may look a little bit odd actually. Let's see. I mean, that's not too bad, but it's not really doing anything. We're just adding more weight to this thing, which is unnecessary, of course. And we'll just leave it as that. All right, so that's the top. You know, just holding it, the bridge system. And we have a lot of things exposed because they look better when it's exposed. We have spotlights right up front. And of course, we have 5 thrusters going left, right, and 4 thrusters go up, down, which is probably not ideal. Probably could add a little bit more. Could probably add 1 more towards the back, if anything. So we have 5 up and down. But we do have 1 large thruster in front for forward and backward. So that's what matters in most cases. Let's see. We'll see how this thing flies. On the bottom, not much. It kind of didn't want to design the bottom too much, so I left it kind of exposed the way it is currently. I mean, I should probably clean it up a little bit more. I think we can use the interior walls here. And I like I actually should have made all the interior walls with the light going this way, horizontal. So it looks better like that than vertical. So if you want to add a little bit more design down here, and we need to find a different way for the connector as well, but we'll leave it for now. But I think if we are going to add a little bit more to this here, it would just be probably up to here. And well, we probably don't want to use an interior plate for that. Let's just do light armor and curve it out this way a little bit, like so. And I think that should do it. All right, so it adds a little bit more to it, more depth to it, and it's looking decent, nothing too crazy. We'll leave it as is, but I think we just want to add a little bit more right over here as well. So maybe we just do this. Right there. And we'll do that on both sides, of course. And that's looking decent, I think, if anything. We're just gonna have to do it this way. Alright, so we got it done on both sides, so that's looking decent. Not the best thing in the world, but not too bad at the same time. A little chunky in terms of the middle section. So it didn't really turn out exactly how I kind of preferred it, but it still has the exposed section in the middle, which is kind of like what I wanted. But it was hoping for it to be flapped out a little bit more than what it is currently. But no big deal. I think we could do a little bit more here. I want to get rid of this. We can add, well, we're gonna have to change the color here. Let's do like a half block here, like so. And what I really want to do is turn this into kind of like a fishtail type of thing. Would that make it look good? Not really, but we'll live with it. Why not? And so that's not too bad. It's yeah, that definitely looks like a fishtail. So just add that there. Okay, so this is a chunky beast of a refinery ship now. So honestly, definitely wasn't planning to make such a big ship, but why not? I guess. So we, like I said before, we got to change up the connector point here, so we can connect this thing into the main ship. And this thing's actually pretty big. It's just as big as my main ship, I think. So this is actually, I don't even think if I can even connect this thing anymore. But if I did connect it, what would be cool, and maybe I'll just use a projection and weld everything up as well, is that I can have two of these on both sides. So just like the exoskeleton of the battle ready armor, we could potentially connect it into its connecting points here. And the only reason why I'm saying that is because we can add additional thrusting power if we add it on the main ship here. So that would be a neat idea. So it's going to be interchangeable and probably not going to be attached to the battle ready ship, if anything. Or if possible, maybe we attach this guy towards the bottom, because there's a lot of room down here. So that could be a possibility. The only problem is that we might be burning down the ship a little bit with these thrusters. The only thrusters that's probably going to be dangerous is going to be these right here. Not these are far enough apart, I think, so that it's not going to torch down anything. And we got the height on it, so it wouldn't be too bad. But if it had to do it, I would probably put a connector up here then, if that's the case. That way, we could connect it from the bottom. And surprisingly, I picked the right spot, and that's where the refinery is. And that was actually kind of perfect. So yeah, I'm gonna put a connector here for now. Look a little odd, but we're gonna actually, you know what? Let me get, yes, the beam. And I like building with beams. They make the design look a little bit better sometimes. But here we go. We're gonna add that there, kind of like a fish dorsal fin type of thing. So, should I get rid of this? Probably. It looks interesting in some ways, but not really. It would probably look better if it was the same, but yeah, again, a little bit of a fishtail. But this ship is actually looking not too bad. I mean, what do you guys think? Leave a comment down below. But yeah, with the connector up there, honestly, if I can connect it down here, it would probably towards the front. So if I connect it right around here, it wouldn't be that bad, and we wouldn't get torched down. I think it's not as long as the main ship, I would think. It's getting there. But the other part is finding a port and connector. That's a hard part. And I completely forgot the exoskeleton is surrounding the main ship, but it's not surrounding our front drill ship. So that's interesting too. So if we need to disconnect the exoskeleton, this comes out with the drill ship, and then that's disconnects off into that. So did I ever make a bridge for the exoskeleton? I don't think I did. Yeah, I don't think I did. So it's something I'm gonna have to make for the exoskeleton, so we could fly the exoskeleton on its own if we have to. In terms of, you know, getting off the merge blocks and everything like that. So we're not gonna just fly it and go to battle with it just like that. So it would be interesting to do that, but we're not going to. So let's see here. We are inside the ship, which is really, really cramped. It's a surprise. It's very surprising. We need to add a reactor to the other ship as well. We went a little too far. We wanted to get a connection from the bottom of this ship. I think we can add some kind of connector here. Or not. So right in the middle is a little tricky because that's kind of our walking path and everything like that. So we have to make it kind of towards the side. So we probably have to tee up this one here. Break it down and go down here. So that would probably work a little bit better. Okay, so we have to get rid of the stairs, I think. No, we'll leave that. We have to turn this. That's the middle. So do we have to center the middle for this one here? It would probably look a little bit better. The other option was to make two of these left and right, so then it could connect into the ship that way instead. But it's not going to be a good way of doing it in terms of that for that ship, the refinery ship. So let's see if we could. I kind of wanted to put the connector right here and not sticking out. That's the main part. But if we did that, it would be up here, which is not great. So ideally, we probably have to build it there, but there's something there. That's a gravity generator. So probably have to move that gravity generator and put it. Well, we could put it right here if we want to. That probably would be a better look. Ooh, better look as well. And nearly knocked myself out there. Here we go. So we got our gravity gen back up and running. And even though we want to put it connected there, we still ain't got a good placement for the conveyors. So that's still a problem. So yeah. What I'm going to do, this timer, I think it runs the doors. Yeah, it's the doors for the ship and everything like that. So that's kind of in my way now. So should have moved it a long time ago. So let's just get rid of it. We don't necessarily need it. We can always rebuild it later down the line as well. But we'll put a conveyor here. And we can put some piping down here. Okay, so we are good to go over there. Connector's nice up and gonna be up and running. And now what's scary is that didn't realize it, but only have one layer for the bottom. That's not a lot of protection. So yeah, so that's why this main ship is not a battle ready ship, I guess. Okay, so we're gonna have to close our own doors because we got rid of the timer blocks to shut the doors every like few seconds. And I think I did that as more of a test of anything. All right, so we are good to go. We are going to pretty much move this guy to the bottom and see how that looks. But before we do that, we have to release the exoskeleton a little bit on the bottom. Meaning all these blocks that I had here initially, it's gonna have to go. I wonder, actually, and add in a slope block here. Oh, yes. That looks like a winner right there. And of course, we can add this right here as well. We probably need the opposite. So that what gives it a little bit more of a bird beak look in a way. Yeah, that's not too bad. We should have done that earlier. And now we can get rid of this window here. And we have more space. Although, I guess we could put the helm here now instead of back here. But we should be fine having it there. And hopefully it's still airtight. It is. Okay, perfect. So, even better. Alright. So here's the ship, I think. It definitely flies okay. It's not terrible. Okay. That's good. We want to put this thing right over here. And I think this might really work out okay. Although it's not the best looking if you're judging. But it's gonna work out. Oh, is that fishtail gonna be an issue? It can. We're just gonna get as close as possible. And the fish tank is... Fish tank. Fishtail is already gripping a little too hard there. Okay. We are good to go. So we can connect here and let's take a look. Not the best placement of it, but not too bad either. So that's a chunky beast on its own, actually. So that's interesting. I think all our thrusters, the only one I think could burn our ship is this one, which is 1, 2, 3, 4 apart. Potential chance to burn it, if anything, but that's only if we're going downwards quite a lot. But other than that, everything else is free from getting burned down, so that's good. So the connector technically could be further back, if anything. And it probably should be a little bit further back. But yeah, that's not looking like a great attachment. It just looked like thrown on. But this thing gonna look like it's thrown on as well, which is our welder ship here. So our welder ship, of course, we've seen this guy in action, which is very helpful for welding up much of our current ship. But this thing sits in the back right over here, and I feel like if it sits pretty well. Alright, so that's the resting spot for it, and once again, that looks a little odd too in terms of placement. But all in all, I mean, it still kind of works out. Maybe this ship needs to be in the back. But the only thing is I need to make sure this is off when it's attached. That's the only way to ensure that we don't burn down anything. So putting underneath is probably not going to be ideal. Putting it right over here could work, I think. But it's still going to look a little odd. Potentially. So, I don't know. Let's see. This already looks a little odd, so I think we're just gonna have to move this thing around. So here, we're gonna release off of that, back it up a bit. Yeah, I think if we had 2 of these things and put it on the wings, that might look good. But if we were to bring it back here and attach it right there, yeah, that's not gonna look great. I think if we had 2 of these things, and let's just say for an example, we're not gonna plug it into the exoskeleton, but if we put it on the wing side of the ship here, or maybe above it. Yeah, I think if we move the exoskeleton and we technically place it right over here. Ooh, hit that ship a little bit. It's fine. Okay, so we put it here. No, it's still gonna be out of place. I don't know. I think if we got rid of the bottom refineries and we did a bit of a tilt like this and then stuck it on the wings, that might actually be better. I think if we got rid of this whole bottom section, stuck it onto the wing like this. We couldn't though because of the thrusters here. But potentially that would give us a little more thrusting power because the large ones on there. I mean, we could connect it right over here. Throw in a connector. That would do it. Yeah, that would probably do it. So I might do that in the future. It's gonna impede the whole exoskeleton build too then. So, well, at least this piece of it. So that's gonna be a problem. It's just a thought. I don't know if I want to have this thing really on the ship itself, but really if I got rid of this whole section right here that includes the refineries, it'll be a little more flatter. And when it's flatter, I can add it on the bottom and it's gonna look decent. So those are some ideas we can do. I just want to make sure that we attach everything together, make everything modular in a way, so that we don't have wasted ships if we can't attach them. And of course, I want to attach them, make them look good, and not look like randomly attached, kind of like this one here. So some ideas to think about down the line. But for now, we're gonna use this and see how well it works. So we're going to put a reactor on here. So I need to get my reactor. We need to find a spot for it, which we probably have a decent amount of spots here for it. Right down here, actually. So we need a port, which right there looks like a good spot for it, if anything. So that's perfect. We probably and likely just need a small one. So we put in a small reactor right over here. Which one do we want to use? Do we want to use this one? Or do we want to use this one? I think we're going to use this one. This one always tends to look pretty decent to me, at least. Alright, there we go. We got a reactor up and running. I have on hand a couple of uranium, 200 of them. We don't need too much just yet. Plus, we don't really have too much refined, but we should have some soon. And now we have almost an unlimited power source. It's of course not really unlimited, but a decent chunk of power. And where is the iron deposit here? I completely lost it. Oh no, right there. Right over there. So we're probably gonna end up getting some stone at the same time. So that's not a biggie. And we could definitely add more drills. We should probably add more drills. I think 2 is a decent amount, not a large amount. And they're so wide apart, which is not going to be the easiest thing to start gathering any materials as well. So we gotta maneuver this thing very, very specifically just to gather anything. So I think the drill ship that we have up front is probably the better bet in terms of gathering materials. I mean, this is okay in terms of getting stone also, I guess. But if we want to get a large amount of stuff quickly, probably not the way to go. I feel like this is not a very, very effective way of drilling because the spacing of the drills are too far apart. What if I tacked it on with some rotor? So then once we do that, the front will be looking a little bit better. So so again, what's interesting is that we're not really adding much weight by gathering all this stuff here because we're refining them as well. So I guess when we refine them, it compresses and gets a little lighter. So if we pay attention to the bottom right in terms of kgs, we gain weight and then we lose weight, I think, or we just start and gain weight and that's it. I'm thinking there's got to be a better way to drill because we can't get enough materials quickly that way. So what if we alter it a little bit and put in a hinge system? So if we put a hinge system, at least that way we can hopefully drill a bit more. So let's just fly this thing back. I guess the only connector I have for this thing right now is on the bottom. So we're just gonna continue to connect to the bottom for now. Bottom of the main ship, that is. Yeah, we're gonna have to do that. And I feel like we're gonna connect right there, but I'm pretty sure I'm off as well. Yeah, we're off. And connecting it backwards actually works out because the fishtail sticks out over here and it's not impeding anything. So yeah, it looks kind of weird back here. Okay, so what I'm thinking of doing is altering this to some kind of hinge system. So what I mean is, let's just take this out, put in a hinge right over here, and let's just do it this way. Okay, so that's kind of what I wanted it to look like. The piping was probably not the best idea. Looks kind of odd. It's alright. So that way it's easier to drill, gets a little bit more materials that way. And of course we could add a ton more drills up front just to get that to work okay. So right now it's super, super close to the thruster, so that's going to burn off, so we don't want that. So we want to twist this hinge here and it's going to hit the ram. Yes, it's going to hit the ram. So I mean, it's okay. So that means we just slow it down. I guess we could just lower the hinge right over there, I guess. Wherever that is. Actually, ideally, we don't have this here. Get rid of those. And it would technically look a lot better if it folds on its own, but it's probably not going to fold on its own because you hit the hinge over there anyways. So now it's looking kind of whisker-like. So interesting. If I got rid of this one right over here, it could fold a little bit better. But that also means I can't add the one over here as well. So that's also somewhat of an issue. So if we got rid of that, and unfortunately I can get rid of this whole claw section, that's what it's going to end up looking like. Which isn't terrible, but it also isn't great. So there's got to be a better way to do this. And actually maybe a rotor system would look a little bit better instead. Alright, so I'm going to scratch that idea for now and get back to default, which is this. And if we want to add more drills to be going on the front, I think what we can do is enlist the help of a rotor instead. If not a rotor, then a hinge, but a hinge that's going a little bit more the horizontal, more not vertically. So that would be a little odder to do. which I think we need a conveyor junction there, and then it'll be like a hinge right over here. Or potentially, if we could, we put it here, but we can't put that there. All right, there we go. Well, our drills are set with the hinges, and we can fold these bad boys now. So when we want to fold it away, we're only folding the top and bottom, leave the middle alone. So that way it looks like, I guess it'll look decent. It should look decent, right? Let's see what it looks like. I haven't really seen what it looks like when it's folded up with all of them. So let's take a look at that. That's not too bad. Yeah, that's not bad at all. This is perfect. All right, so this thing is looking like a boat. And or fish, more like a fish than anything else. Maybe I gotta make this a little bit more colorful to make it look more and more like a fish. Alright, so I hope you guys did enjoy this episode of completing and designing this refinery ship. If you did, you know what to do. Hit that thumbs up, like the video, drop a comment down below. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel if you haven't done so yet. And of course, I'll see you guys next time. Bye.